Can you just start by telling me a little bit about yourself? How would you describe yourself to somebody who didn't know you?
I don't know. There's a lot of things I guess to know about me. I guess I've been through a lot. You can say that, and I work hard, so kind of just try to keep to a certain standard in my life. So that's
You were telling me that you're originally from the Ukraine.
yes.
How long did you live in the Ukraine for?
Well, up until I was 11, and then in '95 I moved here with my family.
Do you think people in the Ukraine have a lot of different ideas about money than people in the United States?
A little bit, yeah, a little bit different.
Like, are they more savers or more spenders, or do they not care about it as much? How would you say it's different?
It's just they spend it on different things, different value system.
Like, what do they value over there? I'm curious.
Family,
Family more than in the United States?
yeah.
And then, so was that kind of a shock to you when you came to the U.S.?
A little bit. I mean, I kind of knew it was coming. I
Uh-huh.
just didn't know it was that bad.
Oh, your economic situation for your family went down when you came to the U.S., you feel? Or your.
It was kind of the same actually. It didn't really change very much. I mean, actually, my family, when we came here, we thought that we were going to be better off.
Uh-huh.
But the thing is that, I come from a single parent family. I mean, I came with my grandparents who were really old. They weren't really of working age at that point, and single mother. She thought it was kind of going to be easy here. She's not the type that likes to work a lot, unfortunately.
Uh-huh.
But then she realized she had to work really hard and, do jobs that, people didn't want to do usually to get ahead. And that's something she didn't really like and didn't want to do.
Oh.
So then she realized, she wasn't going to just come here and be rich. So that's what happened.
Where did you grow up? In New York someplace? Or?
I grew up in Brooklyn, and then I moved to Jersey City. I had a boyfriend in college and basically just moved in with him. So
You got out of the house as soon as you could?
yeah, I mean, I moved out. I was by myself. I was 19.
Uh-huh.
Uh, and I kind of just paid my way through college. My family didn't really help me out that much financially. So that's pretty much that. I mean, I've been on my own, kind of working since 19.
Even though your family didn't help you out, did you still have a close relationship with them?
Not
or
at all.
you've kind of cut ties
Yeah,
with them? It
kind
sounds
of.
like.
My mother still calls me. My grandparents, they've passed away. I didn't even, I wasn't there. I didn't attend their funeral or anything. I actually wanted to go to my grandfather's funeral, but when I came to see my mother most recently, she has like a very bad temper, so we had a fight, and so I never made it. And so now she kind of calls me all the time, but I don't pick up because I know we're just going to fight. So I just choose not to communicate. So
So you said you put yourself through school and everything.
yes.
What is it that you studied in school?
So I originally I went to Baruch College. I have a bachelor's in marketing,
Uh-huh.
and then later on I went for my MBA in finance. Just thought it's going to be more of an opportunity there.
And what were some of the jobs? Were you able to get good jobs once you graduated?
After I graduated, didn't really have much good work. I mean, some administrative type jobs, a lot of customer service. Most of my resume actually is in customer service. I started out working, in the finance industry, and then I shifted to a bunch of other different places before I circled back.
Uh-huh. And did that leave you in debt, or were you able to pretty
It
much
was
pay it
debt,
off?
but I paid it off for my bachelor's, so now the only debt I have is for my master's and
Uh-huh.
a bunch of credit card bills. So they're all gonna have to wait until I can pay them.
And you started to tell me that when you moved out of your house, your family's house, you moved in with a guy. Is that the guy you ended up marrying and everything?
No, different guy. I lived with him for maybe 3 years.
Uh-huh.
The guy was from the Philippines. I mean, and I don't know. I was just really young, and I don't know. I didn't know any better, I guess. And
Uh-huh.
I was struggling financially as well, so it was kind of, you know.
Did he help out financially, or how was your arrangement? with
Yeah, he
finances?
did. He did. Not like entirely that he paid for everything. I still, had to pay rent and things,
Uh-huh.
and I worked. of course, you share things. So, but eventually he didn't really want to get married. He wasn't like really serious about it. So
Uh huh.
I had to move on. Plus, we fought all the time. And he was like really violent for whatever reason.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he just had a crazy, crazy temper. So one time we even had a fight and he cut himself. He was so angry at me. I was like, what are you doing? I mean, it's fine if you don't want to talk to me, but why you gotta, go crazy?
It sounds like he may have harmed you at times as well. Is that fair to
Yeah,
say?
he tried
or-
to hit me like with a slipper one time, when we had a really bad fight. At that point, I was already ready to move out. I was like, I'm not having this. This is just
Uh-huh.
so crazy. And so, yeah, it was like around the time I moved out of there, actually. But I was with him for a while too, like 3 years or so. So then after that, shortly after that, I met my ex-husband.
Uh-huh.
So, and
How did you guys meet?
actually, both of them I met on Craigslist.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Wow.
back then they had the dating section,
Yeah.
which actually worked. So I ended up meeting both of them that way.
So tell me about your ex-husband. Like, did you guys, was it very romantic at first, or how did you
At
think of
first.
him?
Yes, at first, but he also had his issues, but it wasn't like as bad as my initial boyfriend.
Uh-huh.
And I was with him for a while, like 7 years. We got married and everything. And,
Before you got married, you were with him for 7 years.
no,
Or
I
7
was
years
with him
total.
maybe for about a year, and then
Oh, okay.
we got married. Yeah, and again, I feel like I just was kind of young. I was just wanting to be with somebody, just anybody almost. So didn't really have much of a standard for anything. And again, my financial situation wasn't all that great. So it was kind of, you're killing two birds with one stone. So that kind of thing.
You thought
So-
he would help you with the finances, or at
Yes.
least it would help your situation a little bit.
Yes, and it did temporarily, but ultimately it wasn't really a smart thing for me to do.
Uh-huh.
Now that I realize, but when you're young and you don't have a good relationship with your family, there's nobody there to tell you, okay, this isn't good to do, or you should go do
Were
this.
you kind of trying to fill a gap because you didn't have
Yeah.
that relationship with your family and
Yeah, I
everything?
think so, and because you're kind of all the time worrying about money, you have no friends, you really
Uh-huh.
have no real network, so you kind of just go with anything that is thrown your way in a sense. So someone, throws you a bone and you're kind of like a hungry little animal. So you're just like, oof, oof, hey, this person seems to like me. It's great, and you don't really like see the bad things. You just try to focus on the good things, even if there's just kind of few of them. But you try to make the best of the situation.
How long were you with him before? Like, did you guys live together
Yes, we
before?
lived
so how long
together.
Were you? Did you know him before you moved in, or anything?
I knew him for 6 months or so before we moved in.
Uh huh.
So then we moved in. We lived together again for maybe another 6 months,
Uh huh.
and then after that we got married.
Before you moved in with him, did you guys ever have like a real conversation about money, like how
You know what?
you were?
It wasn't something I like to bring up, and we were both struggling actually.
Uh-huh.
I mean, we both earned at that time about 30,000 a year.
Uh-huh.
So I mean, our combined income wasn't all that horrible. I mean, we could still get a place and everything like that. But yes, individually, of course, we weren't making enough money to live comfortably. So.
Did you guys ever have fights about money or
Oh,
how
all the
you were
time.
spending it?
That was the main
Oh.
reason why. Well, that was one of the main things why we got separated. But it wasn't just the money; it was like his whole attitude, actually, about the money that got to me the most.
Like, what do you mean?
It's like if somebody doesn't have money and they're not motivated to make any of it, and kind of like a lazy type of attitude, just saying, okay, I'm only going to work 40 hours a week. I'm not going to do any overtime. I'm not going to do anything on the weekend to help with anything extra. I'm just going to do the minimum. And
Uh-huh.
if you want anything else for yourself, well, you know what? Too bad. I don't care if you're comfortable, or just go do whatever it is you need to do on your own. It's like he wasn't really manning up, and at that point, we were talking about having a family.
Uh huh.
And so, actually, by the time that happened, like 7 years later,
Uh-huh.
he wasn't making 30,000 anymore. He was making 60. And I also had a raise. Like I was making about 40,000 myself.
Uh huh.
But the thing is, like, if you want me to have a family, obviously at that time I can't keep working. So it's like when that happens, I need to make sure that things are still going to be okay financially. So, I try to talk to him and tell him, you know what, you're making 60,000, that's fine for one person. But what if you have a family to feed? You got to do something else too, you know? And so at that point, it was kind of, a struggle with us. And it was tough. It was just tough. And then we thought about other things too. It wasn't just the money. It was other things.
What did he do for work? I'm just curious.
He actually worked as a travel agent initially, and then he transferred. When he got his raise, he actually transferred to a bigger company. So he was like an assistant manager at that point. So that's what he did for work.
What was there like a moment when you were just like, okay, this is the final straw? Like there's no turning back.
There actually was, and it actually had something to do with his friend, who I ended up meeting just accidentally through him. So I ended up falling for his friend actually.
Oh,
But not intentionally. Like I didn't even know I fell for the guy. I realized it later on, believe it or not, because I was just, when you just kind of you are with people you don't even like, you don't even know when you do like somebody. It's the craziest thing. But yeah, he had a friend that was a friend of his cousin initially. And so one time, we all met together, and, the guy was actually in the finance industry. He, at the time, he worked for Citibank. I think he still works there. And last I heard, he was basically a director at Citibank. So, the guy was just talking to me like normally, and it was odd to me because my husband never spoke to me like a normal person. He always just talked to me when he either wanted me to do some chores around the house or he wanted to have sex with me. So it was never like any real conversation. So when the guy actually took the time to get to know me, he treated me like a human being, and I felt like, I was understood. I was seen, I was heard, I was appreciated. All the things that my husband never did for whatever odd reason. And so actually that was one of our main issues all along, like throughout the time I was with my husband. We never connected emotionally in any way. It was just very like kind of a practical arrangement, And so that was that. And even though I tried, I tried to talk to him and say, you gotta like communicate with me better. You can't just ignore me all the time. Come home and just turn on the TV and act like I'm not there, and not even ask me how my day was and none of that. I mean, what's the point, right? Like, if you're gonna be married, you might as well talk to the person, right? And so it never really happened, and in fact, he just got kind of annoyed that I even wanted to talk to him or any of that. He didn't understand why it was necessary, I guess. And then after I met his friend, I even more started to demand that of him. I'm like, okay, why is it that a perfect stranger can do those things for me, and you have been with me for 7 years and you can't? That's not right, I said. Why do you think that, don't I deserve anything better than this? And eventually he told me, you know what, you come from a poor family and I don't think you deserve better than this. I think you should be happy you even have somebody at all, that you're not out on the streets. And at that moment I realized, you know what, I'm not gonna take this anymore. Here's a guy who doesn't even know me. Like, he's treating me like I'm a human being, and I've been with this guy for 7 years, and he thinks I don't deserve better because I'm not rich. So I was like, you know what, I'm going back to school. I'm going to, try to better myself and see if I can, at least get a better job where I don't have to depend on anybody financially.